Millions of gallons of water tear over this rocky edge every single minute. The roar is so loud you have to shout to be heard. Imagine traveling hundreds of miles to stand at the railing, waiting for that thunder. And instead, you hear nothing. You look over the edge and see only a cliff of dry, silent rock. That scenario actually happened. In the summer of 1969, the water simply stopped. This is what visitors saw, a completely bare riverbed. Human engineering successfully choked off one of the largest waterfalls on the continent. We look at massive geological features and assume they are untouchable. But this expanse of exposed stone proves that even the most powerful natural forces on Earth can be paused. This map shows the region's layout. Niagara Falls is 3 separate waterfalls: Horseshoe Falls, American Falls, and Bridal Veil Falls. The 1969 event was isolated to the American side. While Horseshoe Falls kept rushing, engineers completely drained the American Falls. They did this to investigate a specific geological problem. Over decades, sheer cliffs had given way to severe erosion. Thousands of tons of rock had crashed down, piling up high at the base of the waterfall. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers worried these piles would keep growing. Left unchecked, the water wouldn't plummet over a clean vertical edge anymore. It would just cascade down a long, rocky slope, destroying the aesthetic. Local officials feared losing their pristine tourist attraction. To protect the view, the government stepped in and attempted to control the geology. Crews dumped over 27,000 tons of earth and rock into the river channel, constructing a temporary dam stretching 600 feet. It successfully diverted the river's flow away from the cliff edge entirely. As the rushing water slowed to a trickle, a jagged, cracked riverbed emerged into the sunlight. Centuries of deep water pressure had hidden massive fractures and craters in the stone. People lined the observation decks in disbelief. Instead of wearing raincoats to block the mist, tourists walked right out onto the dry rocks to explore a naked landscape that hadn't been seen in thousands of years. With the water out of the way, engineers climbed down into the riverbed. They drilled core samples, mapped the fault lines, and measured the exact stability of the remaining cliff face. By shutting off the flow, they stripped a majestic global wonder down to its mechanics. They were treating a natural landscape exactly like a malfunctioning machine that required a physical inspection. Once they mapped the damage, the engineers faced a massive decision. They had explosives and heavy machinery on site. They could easily clear out all the fallen rocks below and artificially sculpt the waterfall back to a perfect vertical drop. But as geologists studied the data, they realized that clearing the rocks was pointless. The rockfalls weren't a structural flaw ruining the waterfall. The cliffs collapsing was the exact mechanism that created the waterfall in the first place. Instead of fighting the physics of the river, the engineers packed up their equipment. They decided to let the rocks stay exactly where they fell, dismantled the temporary dam, and released the water back over the edge. They learned that preserving a natural wonder sometimes requires accepting that it will slowly destroy and rebuild itself. Today, water crashes over the American Falls once again. It is a living, evolving landscape, continually shaping the rocks hidden beneath the surface. When we look at mountains or deep canyons, our brains trick us into thinking they are static monuments that will look the exact same way forever. But the dry months of 1969 laid bare the constant destruction required to carve the Earth's surface. Trying to control nature's masterpieces is a fool's errand. The best we can do is stand at the railing and appreciate the brief, fleeting version of the landscape we happen to witness today.